Okay, so we're going to discuss the Hyundai XG 350. So this is kind of like a forgotten luxury car. In my area, you do still see them every now and then, but for the most part, I think it's safe to say that these are all but forgotten. Back in the day, they were trying to get in the market and compete with the Avalon. The XG was a bit cheaper, but for the most part, it was in a similar price range with that big Toyota. So in the North American market, we knew this car as the XG, a full-size sedan from Hyundai that entered production in the Korean market as early as 1998. Now, this particular car was nothing more than the South Korean market third generation Grandeur. In North America and Japan, it was marketed as the Hyundai XG. In South Korea, it was called the Grandeur. Here's a little bit of history for this particular car. Now, on the screen, you see the first generation Grandeur. Now, here's the second generation, and this is the third generation car. The first two generations were nothing more than rebadged Mitsubishis, and by the time this car was on its third generation, it was developed entirely by Hyundai. Okay, so now that we briefly went over the history of this car, let's go ahead and dive into the American market version, as well as a few models that were sold globally. The XG 250 debuted in 1999 with a 2.5-liter Delta V6. It was also marketed as the XG25 in some markets, and was produced until 2005. And there was a 2-liter model called the XG20, which was sold in some markets including South Korea. The XG300 came out in 1999, and this particular car had the 3-liter Sigma V6. Now, this model was produced from 2001 to 2003, and it was marketed as the XG30 in some places like Europe and some Asian countries. A 2.5-liter model called the XG25 was also sold in a few other countries like France, for example. In the United States, the XG300 equipped with the 3-liter V6 was available only for the 2001 model year. Either way though, when Hyundai launched the 3-liter V6 powered 2001 XG300, it was simply the biggest and most expensive car the company had ever sold here. This car came in at 191.9 inches long, which just so happened to be the same length as a contemporary Avalon. The car also carried a base price of around $26,000. Now, the goal of this car was to offer luxury items at an affordable price. So it did offer some nice features like heated front seats, 2-position memory seat for the driver, a power moonroof, and a 6-speaker Infinity sound system, just to name a few. The 2002 XG350 had a larger 3.5-liter V6 cranking out 194 horsepower. This motor provided an extra 2 horsepower than the previous engine, and also provided an additional 38 pound-feet of torque, which was now rated at 216 pound-feet of torque. The 3.5-liter dual overhead cam 24-valve V6 also made the XG350 the second most powerful Hyundai ever sold during the time. The most powerful, quote-unquote, was the Santa Fe SUV, which also offered the same V6 and was rated at 195 horsepower. By 2004, there was a very mild refresh, restyled front and rear bumpers, and if you wanted them, you could get HID headlights. They made a few changes around the back too. Now, me personally, I prefer the look of the pre-refresh model better. But yeah, we already know that car makers, they gotta refresh their products to remain competitive and so that their products don't go stale. Now, contrary to popular belief, we did get a redesigned XG350, but the name was changed to Azera. Now, you guys can recall when I mentioned how the XG350 was really just the 3rd generation Grandeur. Well, the Azera was the 4th generation Grandeur. So 2005 was the last year for the XG in the United States, and we got the Azera for 2006. Now, this new generation car didn't look as formal as its predecessor, but it was a bit larger and definitely more luxurious than your typical Sonata. Another thing that I would like to point out is that the Grandeur, or the XG350, had frameless glass. So when you open the door, it was like opening the door of a convertible, which was an awesome touch because that's not something you would expect from Hyundai sedans. So we lost the frameless glass by the time the Azera arrived. However, the latest generation Grandeur has frameless windows. The Grandeur is still in production in Korea. It looks like a larger Sonata with RoboCop headlights and an overly large cheese grater grille. If the Azera was still sold here in the United States, it will look like this, pretty much. It would be the same exact car. Such a shame we didn't get this car because this is definitely a stylish sedan. I'm guessing they didn't want to cannibalize any sales from Genesis. Since they already got a luxury brand here, I guess they couldn't justify selling another luxury car under the Hyundai badge. Okay, so that's it for this discussion. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you on the next one.